Peace, peace. Hope all is well. Coming back at you, back to back, with some knowledge, man. If you could sit down and sit still and have enough attention span for my last video, then I think you'll appreciate this video. In this video, we'll be going over a few, not all, but a few saviors or Christs before Jesus the Christ. That's right. Jesus the Christ in the context of time is a baby. He's a ripoff of plenty different Christ that came way before him. Way before him. So today we'll be getting into it. I'm not going to take up too much of your time. We're going to get straight into it. Remember, hit that like and that sub and that noti. Alright? The first Christ we'll be dealing with is Krishna of India. 1200 BC. Before Common Era. Before Christ. Before Caucasian. However you know it as. This was 1200 years before the thought of Jesus even existed. All of the deities I'll be going over are before Christianity and Jesus the Christ. Not after, not during the same time, but before. This is Krishna of India, 1200 BC. Notice the black features. Take your time. Born a virgin, of a virgin. Parted the Jumna River. The information is right there. This is before Jesus the Christ, before Christianity. We're going to travel around the world on this one. I'm not going to take too much of your time. I'm not going to sit here and give you full-length details because for some of them there aren't that many details. Remember, some of the, even in the previous video, when we're dealing with historical figures or anything dealing with past history, some things make it through history and some things live on through myth and folktale. Okay? That's just what it is. I can't do nothing about it. That's just a fact of life. This is Krishna, 1200 BC. So 1200 years before Jesus the Christ, there was Krishna. Here, we're going to be dealing with another one. Here, we're dealing with Sakya of Hindu. This is 600 years before Christ. 600 years before. Not during or after, but before. Notice that they make the figure of a dark tone. Now, to some, that could just be coincidence. Those are the people that are not willing to accept truth. Understand, these people in historical times, it doesn't matter what time in history, but in historical times in general, had full power to make whatever deity or figure they were carving or making any color they wanted. They didn't have to use dark tones, red tones, blue tones. They didn't have to, but majority of what we'll see, if you study history and figures of history, you'll see for the most part, even earlier Rome and Greek mythologies and shit like that, they were dark toned figures. That is on purpose. They were trying to display the god of their time, and for whatever culture it is, their god, 9 times out of 10, except for black folks, will be the same as them. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not like they just had to make them dark tone. No, they chose to for a reason. These are the culture of people. This is a reflection of the people. So 600 years before Jesus the Christ, we had Sakya or Shakya, S-H-A. instead of S-A-K. Virgin birth, crucified, went to Hades, 3 days, resurrected. The same story. Not everybody's going to have full details on their history. Here we have Tammuz of Syria, 11 to 2600 years before Jesus the Christ. Come on now. Let go of your beliefs. This is not to be an asshole to anybody. This is to give the show and prove of the historical data that leads up to Jesus Christ. Belief in the dictionary. If you have a physical dictionary, or you could just Google what I'm about to tell you if you don't have a physical dictionary, but I prefer people to have a physical as well so they can see what I'm talking about. If you look up belief in a dictionary, right? I'm going to type it in my Google definitions, right? Belief, an acceptance that a statement is true. Trust, faith, or confidence, right? Let's go to the Merriam-Webster dictionary. A state of or habit of mind in which trust or confidence is placed in something. Something that is accepted or considered to be true, or held as an opinion, something believed. Okay? Conviction of the truth of some statement of the reality of some being or phenomenon, especially when based on examination. Right? This is belief. There's no factual backing to the belief. It's just faith. Now let's go to the root word belie. Okay? Of appearance, fail to give a true notion or impression, disguise or contradict, to falsify, to sway. Stop being believers. Believers need beliers. You understand? Here's Watoba of the Telanganese. This is over 500 years before Jesus the Christ. Notice the black features. Crucified. And has the same or similar story to Jesus the Christ. I really don't want anybody to be offended, but I want to strike a nerve in believers. If you believe in any of these religious things, this is for you. You understand? Now trust me, I have more information I'm going to hit on. I'm just warming y'all up. This is a step to step. I'm just feeding you crumbs to give you the full meal. You understand? It's up to you to put these videos together and get your knowledge. Get your game up. This is Watoba the Christ. Over 500 years before Jesus the Christ. Now belie, to falsify. Give the lie to. Show and prove to be false. Fail to fulfill or justify. Betray. This is belie, the root word of belief. Belief is to put faith in something with no factual evidence that it is true. That is belief. Believe. Okay? This is what believers are. So I'm trying to strike a nerve with y'all, and I'm trying to build knowledge with everyone in general. We're going to get to this next one very shortly. I just wanted to go over that with you guys. Here we have Jesus or Jesus. You hear Jesus. No disrespect to any culture, but you'll see Mexicans or Latinos or whatever that culture of people you want to identify as have relatives. The men are mainly called Jesus because the J didn't exist in the time of Jesus as well. So Jesus in his time or supposed time would have to be Jesus. Here we have Jesus. Over 800 years before Jesus. Jesus the Christ. There's a difference between believing and knowing. I want to build your knowledge base. That way you go from believing to knowing. You understand? That's wisdom. That's knowledge. Know the ledge. Knowledge. Wisdom. To have a wise dome. You can't do it being a believer. You just can't do it. You have to show and prove. And I'm showing and proving. Everything I'm showing you, excuse me, everything I'm showing you can be cross-referenced. It can be checked out. Is he bullshitting me right now, or is he telling me the truth? Well, it's up to me to figure that out by studying. So if I can get that little, strike that nerve to get you to study to prove me wrong, hey, you're studying though. I've done my part. So this is Jesus, or Isus, of the Celtic tribes, the Celtic Druids, to be exact. Next we'll be coming upon Quetzalcoatl. I'm not 100% sure on how to pronounce its name, but it's Quetzalcoatl, Quetzalcoatl, or feathered serpent, or plume serpent, the Nahuatl name for the feathered serpent deity of ancient Mesoamerican culture. Okay, this is 400 BC to 600 AD. So this deity lived on well beyond the Christ. Okay, early classical period, 400 BC to 600 AD. The worship of the feathered serpent is first documented in Teotihuacan in the 1st century BC, before Christ, before Caucasians, before Christianity, or 1st century after death. So either way, he was there before and after the Jesus Christ mythology. This is Quetzalcoatl, crucified, immaculate birth by his mother, or its mother, Chamalman, can be found in the Codex Borgianus as nailed to the cross. I put held, excuse me, I meant nailed. 600 to 900 AD. So this deity lived on and continued to be worshipped. Other names, the Mayan name is Kukulkan. Nicknames, feathered serpent, precious twin. Its major cult centers were the temple of the feathered serpent, Teotihuacan, planet Venus. If you go, okay, we're gonna get into that. Ethnic group, Aztecs. Festivals, many. Parents, Mixicotl. Yeah, hit that like, sub, and notification. Leave a comment, man. It'd be greatly appreciated. And here we go. We have Attis. I believe this is Attis. And as you see, Attis of Fagoria. I want to give you time to check into it yourself. 1100 years before Christ. Sin atoning. Buried and rose again. Crucified. The same MO. 1100 years before Jesus the Christ. Work with me, family. Walk with me. I'm walking with you. You feel me? I'm not going to sit here and do it all proper. We're going to talk. I'm going to talk to you, man. 1100 years before Jesus the Christ, we had Attis. And plenty other ones. Plenty other deities. And if you look closely, you can kind of see the Statue of Liberty field. It's a little field to Attis, right? Attis was also a Phagorian god of vegetation. In his self-mutilation, death, and resurrection, he represents the fruits of the earth which die in the winter only to rise again in the spring, which is your actual New Year's. It should not be a New Year's in the middle of winter. There's no new cycle of life in the winter. Okay? Attis's cult began around 1250 BC. All right? So we're 1,000 years before Jesus the Christ. So we have to understand that. Alcestis, I want to believe the name is Alcestis, was a play. Now, the story, the playwright, is a play that happened 430 plus years before Christ, right? 600 BC, excuse me. Female goddess crucified, gave her life for her king. Well, the story goes, there was a king. Let me figure out the king's name. Well, anyway, the king was going to die. Thanatos, or Thanos, for X-Men and all that shit. Thanatos, the god of death, or the underworld, was coming to get the king. Admetus. Apollo reassured him in a passage to pay back. You may not have what is yours, said Thanatos. Defeated, Apollo left. Hercules come in knowing no better, wanting to help the king. Went and saved Alcestis, not knowing any better. Came and saved Alcestis and went back to fight death, or Thanatos. Okay. This is Alcestis, the female deity that gave her life so that others may live. Heracles, fought Thanatos, or the Grim Reaper. Okay? She gave her life for her king. She was a mother as well. So let's not get it confused on what we're dealing with. This is the only female deity that we will deal with today. All right? Just work with me, family. Just work with me. Here we have Indra, 700 years before Christ, born of a black mother, nailed to a cross, walked on water, can be found in the Georgius Tibetan alphabetum. This is Indra of Kush, of Tibet, excuse me. Over 700 years before Jesus the Christ. There's not too much to say about this. 8th century before Christ. Ascended into heaven. I mean, it's the same storyline. It's the same exact storyline. The account. Yep, nailed to a cross. Just the same story, people. I mean, come on. 5 wounds. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty much the same storyline. I mean, for the rest of this, you'd have to get into it on your own. I'm just going over it, make sure I didn't skip anything. You gotta dig. This is Quirinus, I believe is how you pronounce his name. Quirinus. "500 years before Christ, virgin birth, hunted, just like Jesus was supposedly, crucified, resurrected, ascended into heaven." You see what I mean? It's the same storylines all the time. Just the characters change. That's it. I don't, want to dwell on too many points, but I mean, all these motherfuckers, and they all have the same storyline, just different characters. I mean, that's that. Queerness. Now this one, queerness, I'm not too studied in, but just from the facts of facts, he led the same storyline. Can I get into detail of everything about him? Absolutely not. But we just got to understand that, yeah, when we're dealing with Rome, they got a lot of their knowledge from African people. I mean, it is what it is. So I'm just going to keep going. I'm rocking with y'all. I hope y'all hit that like already. Hope you hit that sub. Please do leave notes. Please do leave notes. Here we have Mithra of Persia. Now Mithra, I can go into Mithra on a different build, but this is 600 years before Christ. And we definitely can get into Mithra on a separate video, because there's more to Mithra than that. Crucified on a tree, as were most of the deities, or a rock. See, this is where they got the cross idea. The cross is made of wood. A lot of these saviors, or Christ, were crucified on wood, a tree. Just a tree. Okay, 600 years before Christ. Mithra religion was practiced in the Roman Empire from the 1st to the 4th century CE. The religion was inspired by Iranian worship of the god Mithra, though the Greek Mithras was linked to a new and distinct imagery. Worshippers of Mithras had a complex system of 7 grades of initiation. That's just a lot, right? Mithra is viewed as a rival of early Christianity. Early Christianity, 30 to 36 AD, until the First Council of Nicaea, 325 BC. This is typically divided into the apostolic age. Okay? When you get into the Nicene religions and peoples, you'll get the understanding of that. Okay? Here, I believe we have let me see. Okay. This actually is important to realize what we're looking at. Because what we're looking at is the origins of where these Europeans, pale skin, got the idea of Jesus and the Lamb. As you see, on one side, you have the European, the pale skin, or the Caucasian, with the lamb over his neck. And then in one picture, carved in stone, you see the African man, and you can tell by the features of the stone, carrying the lamb on his back already. So what is this about? Ladies and gentlemen, you're looking at the origins of the whole idea, scheme, and pictures that I've seen over the years of my time of this white dude holding some lamb over his shoulders. They got this from a temple at Karnak, okay? Over 4,000 years old. 4,000 years before the Jesus and Christ, okay? Here is the most, or the oldest figure of your Jesus. This is the oldest figure of your Jesus with the lamb. This can be found in the British museums. I believe it was the British museums. Okay? This is over 4,000 years old. This figure here is well over 4,000 years old. But the side by side, the knockoff and the original, the one in stone, the African holding the lamb over his shoulders in stone, is over 4,000 years old. So we can only imagine that this figure right here is much, much older than that. This is one of the most original figures of Jesus, holding the lamb. This is where they got it. This is where they got it. There's nowhere else to look. Right here. You were looking at a jewel that is too precious to forget. You can distinctly see the features of this figure as being African. Everything about this figure is African. And then the other figure definitely is not African. That can be seen through the most obvious eyes. This is well over 5,000 years old. Well over 5,000 years old. So I do hope you guys appreciate this. Leave a like, a comment, a sub. Show your friends. Show your family who still believe in this fairy tale. This is King saying peace when we're together. Chaos when we're